I suspect there's not a single photographer using digital capture who doesn't use folders to organize their images. Whether those folders represent specific trips you've taken, clients you've done work for, or the dates you captured the images, there is some underlying organizational structure in use. Collections in Lightroom are similar to this concept of folders, except that they are what you might think of as being virtual rather than real. What I mean by that is that a collection doesn't need to relate to a specific folder on your hard drive. Rather, it can relate to any group of images that you think of as belonging together. That might be because they are of the same subject, have a similar theme, or are simply some of your favorite images. In this lesson, we'll learn to create new collections and add images to those collections so you can extend the power of your image management workflow in Lightroom. In this particular case, I have a group of images that I captured in Japan. I imported all of the images from that entire trip together into Lightroom, and they all reside on a single folder on my hard drive. However, the images were captured in two different cities, Tokyo and Kyoto. I would like to create individual collections so I can see the Tokyo images and the Kyoto images by themselves. As you can see by scrolling down on the left panel, going to the Folders section, I'm looking at a folder that contains all of my images from Japan. I can scroll down further to the Collections pane, where I'll work on creating new collections, one for the Tokyo images and one for the Kyoto images. The first thing I'll do is create a new collection for the Tokyo images. At the top right of the Collections pane, I'll click the plus button and then choose Create Collection from the pop-up. I'll call this collection simply Tokyo. Note that I'm not going to include this collection in a set, and I don't want to include the selected photos because I only have one image selected and it's not an image from Tokyo. So I'll make sure the Include Selected Photos checkbox is turned off in this case. Then I'll click Create, and as you can see, my Tokyo collection has been created. At the moment, it doesn't create any images, as you can see by the number 0 to the right of the collection. I'll now switch to Grid View and then scroll up to find the images that were captured in Tokyo versus Kyoto. In this case, I'll be able to identify those images based on the subject matter. I could also use dates to filter through the images if I needed to. But in this case, I happen to know that these trees were the first images I captured in Kyoto, and that the big city scene is still part of Tokyo. So I'll choose the last image from the Tokyo images, and then scroll up to the top of the grid view and hold the Shift key while I click on the first image. This will cause all of those images to be selected. There are now a variety of ways that I could add these images to my Tokyo collection. The easiest way in my mind is to simply drag and drop the images onto the Tokyo collection. As you can see, when I release the mouse, all of those images will be added to the collection. But they've not gone anywhere. I can still see both the Tokyo and the Kyoto images because at the moment, I'm viewing my Japan folder, not the Tokyo collection. You will notice, however, that one thing did change about each of these images when I added them to a collection. There's a new badge at the bottom right corner of the image. That badge indicates that this particular image is part of a collection. If I click on the badge, I'll get a pop-up that tells me which collection this image is a part of. If the image were included in multiple collections, I would see all of them listed here. Next, of course, I need to create a collection for the Kyoto images. But for those, I'll use a slightly different process. First, I'll select the images that belong in the Kyoto set. So I'll scroll down to the first image captured in Kyoto and select it, and then scroll to the bottom of the list and shift-click on the last image. I'll then go to the left panel and scroll up to the Collections pane, clicking the plus button at the top right corner of the Collections pane. Once again, I'll create a collection. But this time, in addition to giving it a new name, in this case, Kyoto, I'm going to turn on the Include Selected Photos checkbox. There's also an option to make new virtual copies, which would allow me to optimize these images in a different way than the originals. But I want to keep these images synchronized so that, for example, if I made a change to an image I find in the Japan folder, it will be reflected in the Tokyo or Kyoto collections as applicable. Note that because I've turned on the Include Selection Photos checkbox, when I click the Create button, not only will my Kyoto collection be created, but the images I've selected will automatically be added to that collection. At this point, I'm looking at only the Kyoto images, and I can switch back and forth between the Japan images and the Kyoto images simply by choosing the appropriate collection. If at any time I need to remove an image from a collection, that's very easy as well. Notice, by the way, that the badge indicating this image is in a collection is not shown. The reason for that is that I'm currently looking at a collection. When I'm viewing a collection, Lightroom assumes that I know this image is obviously part of that collection. So in this case, we don't see the badge. At times you might find that it's necessary to remove images from a collection. For example, let's assume that these images actually weren't captured in Kyoto or Tokyo. Perhaps they were captured at a stop along the way. If that were the case, I could simply select those images and then choose Photo, Remove from Collection from the menu. I could also right-click on any of the images or Control-click on Macintosh and choose Remove from Collection from the pop-up menu. Once I choose that option, the selected images will be removed from the collection. If at any time I decide that I don't need a collection, I can select that collection from the Collections pane and then click the minus button to delete that collection. Keep in mind that deleting a collection will not delete the images. The images are still contained within a folder. The collection is just a virtual folder that allows us to get quick access to a particular set of images. I can also create collection sets. For example, in this case, since I have collections for Kyoto and Tokyo, perhaps I'd like to create a collection set called Japan that will contain both of these. I could then include other collections from other trips to Japan within that set. This can help keep your collections pane a little bit more organized. So I'll click the plus button one more time and choose Create Collection Set. I'll call this one Japan, and of course I'm not going to put this set within another set, so I'll simply click Create. I can then drag my Kyoto collection into the Japan collection set, and also scroll down and drag my Tokyo collection to the Japan collection set. Both the Kyoto and Tokyo collections would then be contained within the Japan collection set. I can collapse the Japan collection set to help tidy up the collections pane if desired. Notice that when I'm viewing the Japan collection set, I'm able to see all of the images contained in all of the collections inside that collection set. Collections can be of tremendous benefit when working with your images in Lightroom. I use them to create virtual folders that contain a mix of images from several different photo shoots, to contain the images I'm using for a particular slideshow or other output, and in many other situations. In short, whenever you think of a group of images as belonging together in some way, you'll likely want to create a collection so you can very easily work with those images at any time.